Good evening, happy Friday, and welcome back to the show. It's been another crazy week, and I'm looking forward to a crazier weekend. What am I sipping on tonight? I'm having a Manhattan, but I gotta say, my relationship with whiskey has been on the rocks. Speaking of which, my wife's doctor said that because of the medication she's on, she can't touch anything alcoholic. That means a lot of cold showers for me, I guess. Anyway, I feel like there's a lot to be positive about this week, and I asked Stephanie Janiczek of Stephanie Janiczek's Smuggler's Cantina to come back and talk with us about it. You won't want to miss it, so stick around. Top off your drink and strap in. Here we go. Hey, how's it going?
Hey.
So, let me greet, because I was kind of ignoring you in the green room there, Boomer. I'm sorry about that, but I mean, you came late and I was already chatting with Stephanie.
It's fine.
So, Agent Boomer, how you doing and what you sipping on?
I have an unsweet iced tea because I've been having too much
Because
chocolate
you
lately.
are my designated driver and I super appreciate it. That's awesome. How you doing today, my friend?
Good. It's
Been a
funny,
good week?
I heard Stephanie Janiczek mention Liam Neeson. I think I've watched 2 Liam Neeson movies recently. He's been doing a lot of movies lately.
Oh, has he? I got to be honest. I haven't been following.
He did one called Honest Thief.
Yes.
Okay.
Where he's going to turn himself in because he fell in love with this woman. He says, "I don't want a relationship to be built on lies." So even though he stole money from the banks, he was going to turn over the banks. Here's the deal: give me couple years in prison, minimal security, and I'll turn myself in. And then the 2 FBI agents to see all the money say, "Hey, we're going to steal it," and it becomes a big disaster. And then Liam Neeson gets on. Okay, well now I'm going to make them pay. I'm going to finish this. So it was an interesting movie.
Sounds good. I may have to check that out. And Stephanie Janiczek of Stephanie Janiczek's Smuggler's Cantina. How are you doing today?
Wonderful.
And what you sipping on?
I am sipping on a Shiraz from Paso Robles, California. It is not too bad. It's pretty heavy.
Mm-hmm.
The German lady that sold it to us. Pennsylvania has state stores, and the chairman of the Drunk Alcohol Commission, because that's what he does, picks out wine every month that he puts on the chairman's best wines list.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like $15. It's not bad. I mean, I was going to grab
Nice.
$30 bottle, but I looked at her and I said, "What do you got?" And she showed me, and then it's very interesting. She's like, "You will drink this. You will buy this, and you will drink this." It's like,
and I'm of the mind, if you're going to bother drinking, drink what you enjoy, and if you got to spend the money for it, it's a luxury anyway, right?
Well, this is it's pretty good. I've got a French Chardonnay she recommended too. So, and Rudy's going because he doesn't like French wine. I mean, he's been everywhere. So he's like, "I've been to Italy, they're good wine. I've been to blah, 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 Germany, Riesling, the Spätlese, Auslese, those are decent. Even Austria's got some good wine.
Yeah.
And I personally like French wine, but he's like, "Ugh, I don't like it." It's like,
it depends on your background. It's almost like sports teams, right? You gotta,
Yeah. They've got a good Chateau Neuf de Pape. It's a thing that they have there, and it's different people make it, and it's really good. He won't drink it, and I'm like, "It's good. Try it, please."
I did say in my monologue I was having Manhattan, but it's really strong. It's more of a brown mumbler, so I use twice as much bourbon as I should have, and I thought I had put 3 drunk cherries in here, but there's actually 4. So
Okay.
I didn't notice it until just now. I meant to put in 3, but it's 4.
Why do they call it a brown mumbler?
Because it's brown, and by the time you're done, you're mumbling. So I'm glad you asked that, actually, because this is actually a Chicago radio legend. The talk radio station here in Chicago, WLSAM, conservative talk radio. For many, many years, I used to listen to the Ro Khan show. And Jim Johnson used to do the weather and traffic. And he was a regular contributor. And every Friday, which is partly why I do my show the way I do, they have the at 5 o'clock when everyone's getting off of work, they roll out the Knarble wagon. Knarble wagon is there's a whole story behind why they call it that, but it's those push cart bars that you have, with all the drinks on it, and they'll roll it out and they'll have whatever drink they want. And Jim Johnson almost always had a brown mumbler. And he would explain that back in the day when he was, in the bullpen and whatnot, on Fridays they would have drinks, brown mumbler, very strong Manhattan with drunken cherry, So it's brown. Anyway, it's local lore, and I want to keep it alive if I can. Take it nationwide, or actually internationally, since I see that Artificer Joni is in the chat. I know that you're not necessarily the first Artificer, Joni, but let me say hi and good morning to you, because I believe it's morning over where you're at. So glad you could join us today. But the actual first was, of course, Team Ghost Planet. You're both here. So glad you are. I'm always encouraged to see you guys. Of course, the lovely Netter of Netter's Network is my blue wrench today. She's actually waving at me. Hi there, Netter.
Hi. Love you.
And let's see, who else? Big Al, have a great show. Oh, I'm sorry if you couldn't stick around, man, but I think you're going to enjoy it, because you actually indirectly inspired it a little bit with your sunshiny, positive personality. That's what I'm going to be kind of focusing on tonight, I hope. Vicky V, I don't think I've seen that name before in my chat, but I am so glad you're here. I see that your icon is Grogu.
I think she might be one of the subs on my channel.
Oh, so you're bringing me some traffic.
Well,
it's good to have a celebrity on my channel once in a while.
I'm a celebrity.
Well, you got over 1,000 subscribers. To me, that's a YouTube celebrity. So
when I'm 20 from 2000. So if I get, I want to get like way over 2000, just so they can't, if they take away some, they can't mess with me. But I feel like that's the goal. That's always been the goal for me.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's like I had 2000 and they took 400 away. And that was 2 years ago, and I haven't been able to get them back. I've been,
Yeah.
But you and I'll talk about some of the other things, but that caused that too.
No, yeah, I totally get that. And I'm just double checking the stream to see. I thought I had your link in the chat. I should. If I don't, my apologies. And Netter will drop it in the chat.
Get some bots.
All right. Thanks.
And because yes, everybody who's here should absolutely be subscribed to. When I recommend other YouTube channels like Stephanie, Valiant Renegade, whatever. Yes, you did it. She did that in the green room, and I laughed so hard. I'm like, oh, that would be so awesome if you did that on air.
I did not expect that to happen. I can't believe
That's what makes it funny. That's
this
awesome.
is supposed to be off. I
But,
think it's haunted.
That's fair.
It happens to me.
When I recommend another YouTube channel, it's because it's somebody that I follow, and honestly, and I always credit when I quote somebody or say, Stephanie Janiczek said this, or Kamran Pasha said that, or whatever. I always do. So what I'm basically telling everybody is, you don't like my stuff, but you want to hear the stuff I'm sharing. These are the people I'm getting it from. So that's basically what I'm doing. Let me get through the chat and say hi to everyone else. Daniel Heron is still awake, apparently. Glad you're here. He says, oh, I forgot. I can put these things up. Friday night, time to drink naked and hang out with friends, or tune in on Troy's show and fall asleep in 10 minutes. Oh, screw you, dude. Choose your own adventure. Well, you are here. You chose this over getting drunk. But, they don't have to be mutually exclusive.
No, they don't.
You're not on camera. If you're naked, I wouldn't even know it. And by all means, I encourage the drinking unless it's a problem for you and it's a struggle. And then I say, you don't need alcohol to have a good time. D. Pensek. Oh, it's good to see you. I see you in all the other chats. It's good to see you, my friend. It's always good to have options. That's absolutely true. Matanui, hi, how you doing? We used to say Matanui was our resident troll, but he's been pretty okay lately. I mean, you can mix it up, Matanui. You never really upset me. We're having fun here. And I think I'm caught up. I don't think I've missed anyone. And if I have, by all means, drop another chat and say, hey, you missed me.
Yep.
Jedi Padawan trailer.
I'm sorry, Jedi. I didn't see because I'm looking in StreamYards. I may be a little bit behind. Oh, there you are. I didn't scroll down far enough. Oh, and I'm sorry. I missed a bunch of them because I do see the deleted scenes is here too.
Deleted scenes, hi.
He was here just last week. He was my guest last week, and I'll have to have him on again real soon if he wants to join me. We did a real deep dive last week on a movie called Mulholland Drive. And that was trippy. And we both kind of gave our interpretation. We were kind of trying to help, Aged Boomer, because he was he's like, I kind of get that it's a dream, right? And I'm like, yes, but more to it than that. But yes, and all respect, and this actually ties into our topic for tonight. David Lynch, firm believer in death of the author. He did his film. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Whatever your interpretation, it's up to you. He is not going to answer your questions. He's not going to tell you what he meant. Just let it flow over you, and you tell him what you think it means. Yeah. And of course, Maria Tiantelli, I saw you over on Paulie's for a little while. You are awesome, girl. She and I had a little competition to get to 400 subscribers. She blew me out of the water like I knew she was going to. She is awesome. And D, I did say hi to you earlier. How you doing, my
Dave,
friend?
How you doing?
And then, of course, Star Wars Theology. I have to ask you about that name. Star Wars Theology. Is Star Wars a religion? I could kind of see it that way.
He's been a sub of mine for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Yeah, that's how I started following him.
Theology. Tell me if I'm wrong. You don't see it like that, but there are a lot of religious aspects that he sees in it. And there's a book that I showed him. It's about Christianity in Star Wars, and I showed him a picture of it. I have it. Mm-hmm. It's upstairs. I'm not going to wake up my husband to get it. Don't ask me. But I don't know if he's a Christian, so I don't think he sees it that way. But it's more of an exploration of basically faith in general in the universe of Star Wars.
I totally dig that because
tell me if I'm right.
I've totally gotten, and I've heard from Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, agnostics that have all looked at Star Wars and been able to project their own belief systems on Star Wars. I think George did a good job with that.
Yeah, well, it's a what I think he did is he took a wide sweep and synthesized a lot of different beliefs into the universe.
He draws on everything, really.
I remember Jet Lucas saying George always told him and his sister that they were Methodist and Buddhist.
Okay.
So if you look at Qui-Gon Jinn,
mm-hmm.
I mean, that's pretty much a Protestant rebel right there. But not
I dig it. Yeah, I totally get that.
Not going over to the point where Dooku went. And it's, I mean, I'm Catholic, so I'm like, but
at the same time, you
it's
also
interesting.
look at where the Jedi Council was at the time,
Yeah.
and you almost can understand people like Dooku and Qui-Gon
Yeah.
kind of saying, "Hey, I think we've lost our way."
Yeah,
And there is that kind of Protestant kind of element there.
Yeah.
Vicky, I did want to say thank you so much again for being here. Yeah, it was what I speculated. I hope I earn, a subscription from you tonight. Super
Please
appreciate
subscribe
you being
because
here.
Troy's great. Troy's great. He does a good job.
Thank you so much.
You're
Can
welcome.
Can I mention something? I remember reading an interview where a gentleman was he was an entertainment journalist, and he said he went up to George Lucas once and said, "Man, if you turn this into a religion, you could make so much more money." And George just rolled his eyes at him, and that was his response.
He was probably like, I'm not L. Ron Hubbard. No, leave me alone. I dig that.
George is like, but I'm talking about it. What are you talking about? I'm not making a religion. I'm talking about religion.
Exactly. Exactly. And interestingly, though, there are people that have made Jedi Knight their religion. So.
I know. There's a big thing in Australia, and it's like, oh gosh.
Well, I mean, I guess it's better than the flying spaghetti monster. So.
Well, it's better than Satanism.
Pastafarians, right.
It's better than Satanism, I guess. So.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. Jedi Padawan Trayla, thank you so much for stopping by tonight.
Hi, Trayla.
Yeah, I've seen you over on Steph, and I'll say the same thing I said to Vicky. I hope I earn your subscription tonight because I would absolutely love that.
Do it.
And
sub
please,
to Troy.
please. And Maria's saying hi to Aged Boomer. You've got a fan there, Aged Boomer.
Thank you. Deleted things I said, "Hail, Aged Boomer." I said, "Huzzah." I didn't know what else to say.
Matanui's, okay. I'll be a little more trollish, she says. That does make it fun, I suppose. Just scrolling through real quick to see if I missed anybody. I've already had like three bots in the stream, so I must be doing something right.
I got one, Al got one, you got one.
Yeah, exactly. George Lucas and friends used Joseph Campbell's ideas masterfully. I should read.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, and you know what? I appreciate that, Artificer Joni, and actually I think that is exactly where I want to transition into what I wanted to talk about tonight. So we have I have since the Book of Boba Fett came out. I did 2 videos. I did not want to do reviews on every single episode of the Book of Boba Fett, but I did do 2 videos where I came out and I was like, I just don't understand the fandom, ripping it apart. Then, of course, I've been interacting with Stephanie on her streams, and I've been very frustrated with some of my favorite YouTubers that are very, very negative about the Book of Boba Fett. And I feel like we have an age of commenters that, and I drew the analogy back in the green room when we were talking. I said it's a lot like the mainstream media, right? Everybody knows I'm fairly conservative, okay? But that doesn't mean I'm, exclusively watching Fox News. In fact, when I do follow Fox News at all, and I listen to people like Sean Hannity and so forth, I'm like, I'm not even sure they believe everything that they're saying. I feel like they're spewing a party line without the critical thinking. And I feel like a lot of YouTubers are jumping on bandwagons and, having reactionary reactions to things without really doing the analysis, which is very blackpilling to me.
Yeah, it is. I think the thing about it is you can't go even on to certain Facebook groups that people run and post something nice about it without one of the people saying something, and then they have to, we're being funny. It's like, no, you're not being funny. You're not. I know what a joke is. A joke is basically honestly commenting on something. Okay, that's what a joke is.
Yeah.
And we can't enjoy Star Wars anymore. We can't. I can't sit back and watch a Book of Boba Fett and know that there's a bunch of people out there that want to talk about it. They can't wait to talk about it. because we've got a narrative out there built by people who are making a lot of money or haven't grown up and realized that it's not personal. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And or want to be. There are several different groups that I think really don't want what's going to happen at Lucasfilm to happen. First
agree.
off, it's the SJWs. Second of all, it's the black pills, and the black pills at the bigger channels. And then it's the EU fanatics, because then they're like, well, we're not getting the EU, so blah, and they've already got staked out their claim.
No, you're right. We'll get into that in just a second. I did want to address Vicky's point. She says, I have unsubscribed to so many YouTubers lately. All they want to do is rip everything new Disney puts out. It's nuts. Stephanie and I were talking in the green room before the stream, and I was saying that I feel like, well, actually, Stephanie had pointed out that a couple of the YouTubers that we really admire, we feel like they're coming off like whipped puppies, you know, where they've been hurt so many times, they have automatic reactions. Everything Disney is bad. It's bad, it's bad, it's bad. And it's like, I understand that gut reaction, but stop for a moment, really look at it objectively. Some of it really is, but not all of it.
Yeah.
These are the same people that refuse to believe that there was a civil war going on behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, but at this point, it is absolutely justified fact. We can see it playing out in the actual real media now.
Yeah. Well, it's really hard. Here's my thing. There's a group of people who want to be liked by the clique. So if you go against the clique, I mean, the clique hates me, and I'm like, well, fine. I never cared about what you thought about me anyway. Which is a sign you're an adult.
Yeah.
I don't care what you think about me. I'm going to say what I'm going to say. I'm going to be brutally honest and tough ski shit skis if you don't like it. Okay?
Yeah. You don't pull punches. I was saying earlier, you've kind of beaten up on me in the chat a couple times too. That's fine.
Well, but it's like you know, when you've seen these people up close, when you realize that a lot of them actually liked this stuff till they realized they weren't getting any play on YouTube, till they started to dislike it. Yeah. Hint, hint.
They come out with their initial take and then they retract it and they go a different route when all the other people start coming.
Yeah, because it's all about money and it's all about clicks. And I mean, when a really big YouTuber, a guy I really do like, said he makes 6 figures on this. Yeah. It's like, okay, I understand it now. Yeah. But I'm going to tell, that's why I tell people I don't make money on my thing. Yeah. I'm not going to.
That's why you haven't monetized, yeah.
I don't monetize because, you know, I want to be able to say what I want to say. I don't want you to expect me to do this or that. This is my take. This is who I am. You don't want, you know, I tell people, you want to throw money at me, I have a PayPal, okay? Yeah. But I'm not going to, you know, but you got to be that way.
I do too. If you guys want to buy me a drink, the link's in the description. You know, if you want to make sure that I have alcohol to loosen me up for my streams every week, that's where the link's at.
You know, it's like when I see all this, and then like today, everybody in the chat was crapping all over it. Mm-hmm. I mean, even episode 5.
Yeah. Well, and no, like, see, I would say that there were a lot of people commenting and they hadn't even seen episode 5 yet. But you're right. You're right.
That really makes me mad.
Then episode 5 comes out and what's their reaction? They have nothing else to say except, oh, Boba Fett wasn't in it. We'll get to that in a second. I did want to comment on what Netter said here. Yes, we did sell our Disney stock when the whole Gina thing happens. And honestly, people, I feel like, and I've said this all along, we vote with our money. Yeah. And the changes happen not because we bitch about it on the interwebs. Yep. It's because we spend money or we don't. And we have had a good couple years here of Disney getting very clear messages about what we don't like because we're not spending the money on it anymore. And honestly, that is exactly why the changes are happening at Disney behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Anyone who's following Kamran Pasha knows he's pointing it out on a daily basis as news articles come out and we see that, the regime is changing and the guard is changing.
Yeah, well, they just hired somebody from J.P. Morgan Chase to be the financial person for the investors. And it's like, and of course, you've got the black pills going, what does that even mean?
Well, but see, and that's what you got to do is you got to read the negative space there, too. It's not only who did they put in charge. Because I saw this one comment in the Midnight's Edge chat was, oh, she's a woman. Okay, what other check boxes does she check? I'm like, dumbass, forget about who they hired. Look at the fact that they fired this guy. This is the guy that purchased 20th Century Fox, okay? Yeah. That decided that Disney was going to focus on streaming rather than films.
Yeah.
These things have not worked out for them. So the fact that he's out the door says a lot. It doesn't matter who the new person is. The fact that he's going tells you what direction Disney's going in.
Yeah, and it's obvious, and like there were people I'm really disappointed with, and I'm not going to say who, but he doesn't. It's like we've got a problem with people who actually also only concentrate on the parks.
Yeah,
because they attacked Chapek for trying to save money. And it's like, do you realize? I mean, and this person knows how bad it is financially for Disney right now.
Yep.
And he still bitches about it. And it's like, I can't. I love this guy, but I can't listen to him.
It's ridiculous because people lose sight of Disney's a business, especially the people that are all, Disney is so greedy.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Good. Yeah. If they are greedy, that's good. The gecko line. Greed, for lack of a better term, is good. It's good for the shareholders, and it's good for the fans who want to consume what they're putting out.
Shareholder, right?
Oh, yeah, shareholders. Yeah, exactly.
I found that out, and I'm like, so we've been doing okay, but we would be doing a lot better if what we had in them was actually doing better. And I look at, and I don't blame Jon Favreau or Dave Filoni or Robert Rodriguez or Tamara Morrison. Yeah. I blame Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy. I blame J.J. Abrams. I blame, this would be fine if you people had done the right thing.
It's what we were saying before. People are having this reaction to the movies,
yeah,
and they're blaming it on Favreau and Filoni, who are doing the TV shows that are actually good.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. A lot of people, and we were talking about a couple in the chat, in the private chat, are still stuck in 2018. And there was somebody on the panel today, I'm not going to say who it was, who caused a lot of this. He never said a word when Kamran Pasha was talking. He has nothing to say when Cameron's there because there's nothing for him to say.
Yep.
And he didn't say, let's put it this way. My friend Mazeros was like, he's a coward. He'll never say he'll never say a fucking thing. Now with Cameron there, he won't.
Because
but he's the one that caused this shit.
Because Cameron knows. He's actually in the industry. And it's like, this is what I think drives me crazy. I was introduced to Cameron by that channel, and it's like, do you guys listen to him? Okay, because I'm following him now on Patreon. Yeah. I know it's a worthwhile investment for me because I get great information from him. And if you're not listening to him, then you're not engaged. You're not doing your job.
Yeah, and the thing about it is people listen nowadays to react. They don't listen to understand.
No.
And they don't want to see, like, if you're watching a movie and you see a whole crowd's mind change about something, that's impossible to do that now because people don't people aren't engaged the way they used to be, and it's the internet's fault.
It really is.
It's the media's fault.
In fact, let me address D. Pensac's comment here. He says, a beginning is a very delicate time. Several popular classic TV shows started out rough their first season, and Vicky responds, Star Trek Next Generation comes to mind. Yes, the first 2 seasons of Star Trek Next Generation were really rough. But I don't feel that is exactly what's happening with Book of Boba Fett. I think Book of Boba Fett is suffering from a different problem. I think that in this case, the creators knew what they wanted to do, but they were rushed to get it out the door.
Yeah,
I think they had 2 very big restrictions on them. First, it came out many months before it should have. They weren't ready to go live. So it was very rough. And they had a mandate that they stretch it out. I think the same thing has happened to all the Marvel shows, where it should have been a movie or it should have been 2 movies, and they've stretched it out to multiple episodes of TV shows. And the editing is just all over the frickin' place.
Yeah, it is.
Do you think Disney jumped into streaming too fast?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, I think most everyone did, with the exception of maybe Netflix.
But they've been doing it for a long time.
Netflix had been doing it for a while, so they're already in the game, right?
Yeah. I think. In fact, I said this. I told Andre and Cameron. I said, guys, this has been. I'm watching it, and it's a good story. It just is. It feels off. And it doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't mean that Boba Fett's cucked and it's woke. There's nothing woke in it. People who think the show is woke don't know what woke is. If it was woke, Boba Fett would be gay.
It's kind of like what Script Doctor often says. If just having a female lead is enough for you to call it woke, that's more you than it is the show. You know?
And you know, the thing about it is, it feels rushed. It looks rushed. In fact, there was a scene where he's riding his bantha, and you can tell he was in the the green screen was behind him. You could see that it was.
Yeah.
Which is like, why is this? This doesn't. What is this? Is now. Granted, I've been in deserts. I know what they look like, and that is a color of sky sometimes, if it's hazy. But it that made it worse. It didn't feel right. You could tell.
If it makes you feel any better, I cut myself shaving.
And you have a Band-Aid on top.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it makes you feel, I had a bad hair day too.
but you know, but that doesn't make it a bad story.
No, absolutely.
People are looking. I don't know what I asked Coach, what do you want?
Yeah.
I've asked other people, what do you want? And they can't answer. They can't.
No.
And I honestly think when Doomcock brings up Gina, I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I think that if they had left her alone, or if Disney immediately said, we're not firing her, she's not going anywhere, we want her here, and came out swinging, and because Iger was still there, like, Svengoolie, these people wouldn't hate it. In fact, Mansour's goes far as to say there are people that say they hate it that like it.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. I think we're getting a lot of that. Big Al brings up the ship from the last episode because they brought back the Naboo starfighter.
Yep.
He said it was his least favorite ship, and they made it cool. No paint, can do wonders. And I have tweeted out, and I've tagged Hasbro Pulse a number of times. I said, I really hope that Hasbro re-releases that ship.
Yeah.
With or without Mando and or Book of Boba Fett branding, I don't care. Yeah. I don't want to pay secondary market price to get that ship now and then have to do all the customization myself. But I do now want, that version of the Naboo starfighter.
That was something that was everything. The whole episode was an ode to the Phantom Menace. The entire episode. You got them landing at Mos Eisley. You saw the gate that Anakin and Padme went through on the card, right there in Qui-Gon Jinn. That was Attack of the Clones, but Qui-Gon Jinn and Padme, you could see them walking towards it. You've got the pod race course, and he's just burning through it, and then he goes into Beggar's Canyon. You can see a Womp Rat, which is a ode to Luke. I have people saying Womp Rats in Beggar's Canyon, blah, blah, blah. I could hear him say that. And you just go, it was an ode to Padme, because she was the one that gave that ship, well, I want these ships made. All right, we're going to make these. Okay, fine, we'll do that.
Yeah.
I mean, and that wasn't, I mean, and people just, and there are people who don't like the show, who are only OT fans. They've never seen anything else, and they hate the prequels.
It kind of makes me wonder, though, then why are you even bothering commenting? Just walk away. You don't like it, just walk away.
Yeah, just please let us enjoy it. Let us enjoy it.
This one's for you, Stephanie. D. Pensek says, "Where's Kathy? Because your mama don't dance and your daddy don't rock and roll." Can we talk about that a little bit? Yeah.
Okay. So she's not in England.
Nope.
They're getting ready to wrap E.5 in a couple of weeks. She's obviously in Malibu at the beach house. They have a big beach house on the beach, probably next door to Barbra Streisand. I follow Frank, and he's actually has talked to me a couple times on Instagram. They're in California. I mean, they've been in California since, I think, before October. And my take is, I'm going to say this. I don't know if it was health reasons, but something happened and they left England. And I'm going to say also this. Harrison Ford's shoulder, it wasn't hurt that bad. I've said this before. I'll say this here for people who didn't hear this.
And you specifically pointed out at the time, in one picture that's taken of him, he's got his arm in a sling. The next one, he's riding his bike, down cobblestones.
Yeah, and it's like, if the doctor says your shoulder's banged up, you can't do that.
Yep.
Not that he wouldn't, but when you bang up your shoulder, it hurts like a...
Yeah.
So, and I've done that. I had a horse do that to me. I've told you about that, and it's not fun.
Yeah.
So I don't think he was hurt that bad at all. I think he slow rolled it.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
And I think he got Chapek involved. And I think there's some reason, for whatever reason, Doomcock got that rumor. And then verbatim, that rumor shows up in the Daily Mail.
Yeah.
Which is now legit news. Yep. So the people saying Doomcock lies and blah, blah, blah. Well, there you go. It's in the Daily Mail now.
The fact is, there's a lot of mainstream media that is getting their news from Doomcock.
Oh yeah.
So just be aware of that.
Oh, I know, but that wasn't. I don't think the Daily Mail would be taking something from that YouTuber. The Examiner would.
Sure.
The Daily Mail would not.
Possibly true, yeah.
No, it's not possibly true.
I could see them saying, "Hey, did you hear this? Look into that. Is there anything in that?" And then confirming it.
I think it was dropped by... I agree with Cameron. I think it was dropped by Chapek and somebody else, and I think Harrison Ford was being there.
Well, I think there's a couple things that could have been the impetus for Harrison. I mean, it could be he's friends with George Lucas.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
She's done George wrong, and George talks to him and goes, "Don't worry, man, I got you. I'll slow roll this thing." If not him, Mark Hamill. What Mark Hamill went through on those movies?
Yeah.
Oh, kid, that's not cool. Let me take care of this for you.
Well, I tell you. If he had been in TLJ would not have been the movie it was.
Nope.
He would have said, "I'm not doing this. What are you doing to Mark?
Look,
what you're doing to Carrie is wrong."
One thing to keep in mind. This is a rumor, so it could be a spoiler, but maybe it's bullshit. But I think a lot of people are assuming that Harrison's coming back in the next episode or two of the Book of Boba Fett. If that happens, you got to ask yourself, how desperate was he to kill off his character if he's willing to come back to it?
I think it was, Larry Kaz did in an interview, and I wish I could find it. I haven't done a deep dive to look for it. I did once, and I was like, I can't find it. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's been buried by Google.
Yeah.
Basically said they were on the set, and they weren't close to wrapping, but he was basically, and this is strange for him, being verbal about, I wish I hadn't signed the contract the way I did.
Yeah.
I like being here with these people.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine what he thought, what they did to Mark. I can't imagine. Leia Poppins.
Yeah.
He would have been horrified by that. Yeah. I mean, he'd have been like, no.
You know what, too? This is something I haven't heard anyone else say. You might have a better insight on this than I would, Stephanie, but Carrie's death had to hit them hard,
Yeah.
And I have to wonder if Harrison didn't look at that and say, you know what? This whole situation is just bad news, and something's got to be done. You know,
he that might have been it. Him showing up at Comic-Con in San Diego was kind of a big deal. I mean, why would he do that?
Yeah.
But I do think that when you have people, and there are people telling Cameron that no, Kathleen Kennedy's best friends with Steven Spielberg and George Lucas. They've got her back. It's like, this is the thing.
Yeah.
This is the thing that drives me crazy. George Lucas does not show up to The Rise of Skywalker. Did they even notice? And why didn't he drift when he showed up to all of them?
The fans all noticed. The fans all noticed.
Yeah. But when you've got, I'll tell you who the YouTuber is later. It's like, but why? But then you got to ask, okay, he didn't show up. Why? Because, and this is a Doomcock rumor, that he actually helped J.J. Abrams. And the thing they put together was the thing they showed, the suits. And Kathy lost her shit. And everything they reshot was what George had done.
Yeah. Yep, I think you're absolutely right.
And then I want this YouTuber to explain to me why Steven Spielberg suddenly walks away. When they had a script that Harrison Ford liked, that he liked, and everybody else liked, why? I know why. Because you don't mess with a bro's bro.
Exactly. Spielberg walks away. Harrison Ford's like, oh, my arm. There's just a lot going on there, I think. Real quick, I did want to address deleted scenes. Yes. So he had heard about Boba Fett. It sounds like what he'd heard about Dexter. It seemed that it was rewritten halfway through. Do you get that impression? I'm not sure. I've heard a lot of people speculating that it was originally supposed to include Gina somehow or something like that, or her character, and they had to make changes. I'm not so sure about that, but what I will say is I do know that they moved the timetable up by months. So I think it was rushed. Yeah, I think they had a great story. I still see a great story in it.
Yeah.
But I feel like the editing is bass-ackwards. So two things happened. They rushed it out the door because Disney told them they had to, and they stretched it out to more episodes because Disney told them to. Yeah, and that's always going to interfere with an artist's vision,
Yeah, and I think you're right. And also, they're contending with this constant Gina crap. And I'm sorry, but I'm so done. I can't even. Done isn't even the word to describe that I am with her. I don't like seeing her face, And I spent $90 on one of her fucking figures. Okay.
Wow.
I'm like, look. She was a third-rate character in a show about a second-rate character.
She had a great deal of potential, but she hadn't really gotten there yet.
They were going to make her one of the secondary characters, and she couldn't keep her mouth shut. Now, this is my theory. She didn't want to be there. She kept talking. I
Yeah.
know her agent said, will you please stop it? We understand that you feel the need. It's free speech and all the rest of the stuff. And the rest of the actors are like, she's fine. We don't care. You know, but she was daring them to do it, knowing they would do it. In fact, I think she knew they were going to.
I honestly feel like what happened to Gina is going to start happening to a lot of other people if they don't, on the other side of the ideological situation. I think that a lot of companies in the entertainment industry are starting to do what Disney is doing and looking and going, okay, this needs to stop. We need every dollar we can get, regardless of whether there's an R or a D after their name.
Well, the thing about it is, you know, she shows up on Ben Shapiro like the next day.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that wasn't planned.
She already had that in the pipe.
Yeah. So so I'm like going, she's not a victim. She put this out together. She did that deliberately. And my thing is, you, Gina, I feel bad. They should not have done that to you. But you knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And the people I really feel bad for are the guys that created that character for you.
Yeah.
You owed them loyalty.
And I would say, and the
didn't
fans
show it.
too, that were really starting to like her character, because it was a good character that had a great deal of potential.
And they can't let it go, and now she's Star Wars instead of Luke Skywalker. This is where we are right now.
Let me say real quick hi to the lovely Sherry.
Hi,
See,
Sherry.
there's her picture there. She really is lovely, and she is so encouraging. I said she put up one of those memes, you know, say one word to describe me. I couldn't decide between lovely and encouraging, but she's definitely both of those things.
That's great.
Hope you're subscribed. That would really encourage me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I don't feel sorry for her. And if I wanted to push Nick, he'd tell me what she told him. Because they talked.
Yeah.
I know they talk. They're both actors. So, and if Nick would talk to me, he'd probably tell me to F off. And I'd be like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
You know, knowing him. But it's like, this is not the hill to die on. This is not the hill to die on. She's a shiny object.
Vicky makes a great point. She says that she thinks that Gina wanted to go into filmmaking rather than acting.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, you got to pay your dues first.
Yeah.
Because let's look at a more positive example. Dallas Bryce Howard. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
She directed the last episode of Book of Boba Fett, and it was without a doubt the best directed episode this season.
Yeah.
And she is a good actress. She is absolutely lovely.
Yeah.
She is quickly becoming one of my favorite directors in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And I was even saying, I'm kind of hoping that not only do we see her doing more with Star Wars, but maybe if she's working with Robert Rodriguez over there, maybe they pull her in on a Alita project coming up.
Oh yeah.
That we're all hoping for, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. But this is like Doomcock says, we have to be patient, and it's a work in progress. And the people who don't believe him, karma's going to come and bite them. Yeah. What I'm worried about is what it's going to do to the fandom in the meanwhile.
True.
Because we've got a lot of people out there.
Very reactionary people, yeah.
That have big channels that don't know what they're talking about, that purposely go and attack everybody else when they don't agree with them, and they're gatekeepers. They're gatekeepers. You're not allowed here because you don't think the way we do. And it's like, you know what? This is not what fandom is supposed to be. You guys, they talk about people being fascist. It's like, look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Look in the mirror.
Well, you know what? Let's look at it more positively. Let's look at this last episode of Book of Boba Fett, right? Where, what did he say? Loyalty and solidarity are the way.
Yeah.
Right? And that was told in the context, and if you've seen The Mandalorian, you've seen Book of Boba Fett, the recurring overarching theme is clan, is family, is belonging, unity, right?
Yeah.
And you look at Mando, who is a foundling. He was brought in. He's basically brought into a Mandalorian cult, right? Yep. And he's doing everything he can to belong, but realizing that he's picking up other people along the way that he needs to care for, Grogu and so forth, right?
Yeah.
Boba Fett you're seeing the exact same arc when he does the flashbacks to his time with Jango Fett and his father, taking off, his father being killed and so forth when he was very, very young. The whole thing with the Sand People, and then he has that conversation in episode 4 with Shannick Fan. What's her name? Ming-Na Wen's character. Fennec Shand, thank you. Where she basically says, you've gotten soft. No, I'm getting strong. I'm extrapolating what he said. I'm pulling my power base together. I'm pulling my family together. That's where the strength is, right? Yeah. He's learned something. He's gained wisdom.
Yep.
He's not,
Read my last comment.
Oh, that is so sweet. Another Disney quote. Ohana means family. Family means no one gets left behind. That is a great summation of exactly what we're talking about here.
Yeah,
right?
And it's well, that's not exactly his culture that came from. That's Hawaiian. And I lived in Hawaii the first few years of our marriage. So I know what that word means in many, many ways. But yeah, and that's and Tamara Morrison's from New Zealand. He's Maori.
Yep.
It's interesting to me watching this and seeing the subtleties and the nuances, even in the bad episodes that weren't bad. Yep. And it's like there's stuff here that is being missed because people want to see RoboCop. Yeah. They want to see. I don't know what they want to see.
But that's a great example. I mean, all the best characters that they can come up with that are badass, right?
Yeah.
They've got a streak of humanity. Yeah. You look at Rambo. Rambo's a man who's suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and he's got his loyalties and he's got, his stuff going on. RoboCop trying to get back to his family, for crying out loud. He's not an automaton. There's that humanity trying to come out to the point where at the end, they call him RoboCop and he says, "Call me Murphy." I mean,
and it's it's like today people clapping somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about.
Yep.
And it's like there's nothing there to be proud of. There's nothing there that he said that was, and it's like it's in some ways it's good to let the fans let off steam, but when Paulie and Tom Conkle, who's such a great guy, he's such a great guy, start talking about this, it was like, this is what fans should be saying. This is where the conversation should be, not this. I ain't see this, and why you do that, because there's no depth to it. When I have people telling me, well, it wasn't that deep, it was like, it was that deep. I'm sorry, you don't think that deep, okay?
Yep.
It was that deep. And it's like, I can't, there's so many people that have disappointed me. Really disappointed me. And well, first off, I think Kennedy's probably going to leave before we think she is.
You think?
Oh,
I was kind of expecting her to hold out as long as she possibly could, but you may be right.
When you've got in the Hollywood Reporter basically alluding that she's a racist.
Yep.
That's leave, get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
And it's going to keep coming.
The industry is completely turning on her. Real quick, I did want to drop the link to that last analysis stream from Latino Slant with Tom Conkle. I encourage you, if you are at all a Star Wars fan, whether you've seen the Book of Boba Fett or not, go check it out, because listening to Tom Conkle do an analysis of a story is like a masterclass in writing. The man is a genius.
Yeah.
He understands the craft, and I think in a way that so many YouTubers just don't.
No,
they see this surface level and they just don't get it.
Yeah, and they don't. And if they looked beyond the surface the way he does, they couldn't keep their narrative. They couldn't. They wouldn't be able to make money, because they'd be like, "This is actually pretty good." It's like, duh. I told you. And what really bothers me is when you're having a debate with one of them, and then they treat you like you're stupid. And you basically have told them the Dancing with Wolves analogy doesn't work because John Dunbar was never a prisoner. A man called horse analogy does.
Yeah.
And then you realize the moron on the other end has never seen a man called horse and doesn't know what you're talking about.
Yep.
So therefore, you're the idiot.
But even if you haven't, you need to be open to the fact that you have an idea of what a Star Wars film should be. You have an idea in your head of who Boba Fett is.
Yeah.
And that may not match up with any kind of reality.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest problem. These are the same people that can look at what were the things that inspired George Lucas. Whether it was Flash Gordon or Westerns or whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
And not recognize that that's exactly what Favreau and Rodriguez and whatnot are doing now.
Yeah.
And when they do it, they get derision.
Yeah.
And when George Lucas does it, he can do no wrong.
It's again, I think it's there's money driving this anymore. There's money anymore. The fact that they won't even listen to somebody who, look, you haven't seen A Man Called Horse, fine. But when someone who has actually seen it says the Dances with Wolves analogy is dumb, it is really dumb. If you see, okay, when was he a slave to one of the squaws?
Yeah.
No, he wasn't. Okay.
Yeah.
That wasn't a man. That's what they did to Boba Fett.
Yep.
That's not A Man Called Horse.
I got
Dances with Wolves.
I got really upset with that one YouTuber when I was trying to express that. Look, this whole story with the Sand People, you can draw an analogy to Aborigines or Native Americans or whomever.
Yeah.
It's absolutely, and then they do that thing with the train. It's like, holy crap, if you don't see Native Americans there,
and you don't
with Buffalo, you're completely missing it. And he's like,
Lawrence of
well,
Arabia.
Again, he's like, well, the Sand People were just evil. And it's like, nobody is just evil, okay? They're natives, okay?
This is the thing, and I gotta go pretty soon because I'm getting really tired. As you saw, I almost dislocated my jaw yawning. Jean Renoir, who is a son of Philippe Auguste Renoir, with the painter.
Yep.
Jean Renoir was a great film director and writer. And he said, everybody has his reasons. And when you look at that and you take that and you give it to the Sand People, you give it to the Pikes, you give it to Boba Fett, you give it to Din Djarin, you give it to Han Solo, Luke Skywalker. And I was talking about the villains when I brought that up, because you were in that chat that day.
Yep.
Everybody has their reasons. If you bring that up to someone who thinks that the Sand People are evil, that is the same conclusion people east of New York and Boston had on the Native Americans. Okay?
Yep.
Granted. And also, looks at the people coming west trying to make farms and everything. Everybody has their reasons. And when you start thinking that out, what really is evil? And the only really, truly evil person in Star Wars is Palpatine.
Yep.
All right?
Even Vader has his, larger arc, right?
Yeah, well, yeah,
and that's
Vader,
the thing that bothers me the most. So many people point to Boba Fett saying, he was a great villain and they've Disneyfied him. I'm like, really? Because they did the same
antagonist.
thing. George Lucas did the same thing to Darth Vader, dumbass.
Yeah, well, he was an antagonist. And there's a huge difference. But I got to tell you, man, these people in college they would get Fs in literature. The difference between a villain and an antagonist. Sometimes the antagonist ends up being your friend. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sometimes it's like you're standing on opposite sides of a platform saying, I'll see you around. And you just kind of go on your merry way.
Yeah.
But to do evil is not. What happened to Padme is evil. Okay. And when you find out that there are many different tribes of Tusken Raiders, Sand people, then you suddenly, I'm getting yelled at by my dog, so I really got to go soon.
Okay.
You suddenly realize that there were tribes that did live on bloodlust. I don't know if that makes them evil, but still, she probably ran into one of them. Mm-hmm. And he ran into one that didn't really want confrontation. They were good at it, but they didn't want to have that constant, we'll go into this village and kill everybody.
Yeah.
I didn't see them do that. They wanted to be left alone.
Yep.
And
well, my point
curve.
in that chat was, for crying out loud, you think about the Native Americans, they weren't all one people. There was the Navajo, there was the Apache, there was the Algonquins. They were all different. Some of them were far more warlike. Some of them were very peaceful. Yeah. And I'd have to say, you're foolish to think that the tribes of Sand people aren't the same way.
Yeah,
if you can't imagine that, then you're looking at it too narrowly.
Okay, I gotta show you this.
What's
Just a second. Of course I can't, but here he is.
Oh, Kojak!
I gotta go.
Okay, fair enough.
Good night, Stephanie.
I gotta let him out. So you guys have a good night, and I wanted to get more in depth with the business aspect, but today's announcement that financial lady was hired.
Yep.
I don't care if she's a Martian. That's a big deal.
It's saying a lot.
Yes, it is.
It's saying a lot.
So, as in the Cantina.
Yep.
I'll see you guys around the galaxy.
See you around the galaxy. Take care,
guys.
Stephanie.
Good night, guys. Thank you for having me on, Tribe. Bye.
No, thanks for coming. We'll have you back.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye. So, don't go anywhere. We're about halfway through the show, at least the way I usually do things. But
now Boomer gets a chance to talk.
No, Boomer gets a chance.
No, I want to let Stephanie speak her mind. I figured she'd leave after an hour anyway, so I'd have time to speak afterwards.
I'll talk after she leaves. No, no. That's good stuff, and she knows her stuff, and she definitely has her finger on the pulse of what's going on behind the scenes. And I feel like there's so many YouTubers that just take this surface level reading of things and don't dig deeper. That's kind of what I was getting at, and it kind of bothers me because, as I made the allusion, there's a lot of elements of completely unrelated. I was watching an analysis of, actually, I should go into this a little bit because it does kind of give everybody some insight into an upcoming stream that I'd like to do. And I'd love to hear some feedback. If you don't want me to do it, I won't do it. But I kind of want to do a rewatch in the coming weeks of The Dark Side of Oz. Do you know what that is, Boomer?
No.
Okay. So there is this urban legend that if you take the Wizard of Oz and sync it up with Dark Side of the Moon,
yes,
it syncs up pretty well. And there is some pretty cool ones. There's a lot of versions of it out there on YouTube, but what I think I want to do is make my own so that I can put in some commentary text, on the screen, to kind of point out some things. I think it would be fun. But I was watching somebody's YouTube channel about it, and he was basically saying, is it really a good sync, or are there other movies that could sync up with Dark Side of the Moon better? And he actually found some really interesting things. He synced up Dark Side of the Moon with what is the mall cop, Paul Blart or something like
Mall
that?
Cop, yeah, Paul
But
Blart.
the second movie. And he said it actually synced up. There were some better syncs in it that were very, very interesting. He tried syncing it up with The Godfather, and it didn't really work. It wasn't quite there. And I'm trying to remember what the last one was. He tried syncing it up with Shrek. That wasn't so good. And then there was one other that really, really was good, but I can't remember off the top. I think maybe it was The Avengers or something like that, one of the Avengers films. But what he pointed out in doing an analysis is that films have a general ebb and flow, right? You've got your setup, you've got your conflict, you've got your dark time, you've got your denouement, and then you've got your heroic ending. And that doesn't work with all films, because not all films tell their story the same way. Sometimes they're very Waiting for Godot. Maybe they're, The Godfather doesn't follow that formula, right? But interestingly, Dark Side of the Moon kind of does. It's not a literal narrative story in the album, but it kind of feels like it is, right? So it can sync up very interestingly with some movies. And the reason I bring that up is because he was pointing out how different movies can be, and how the average film goer today is so used to your Marvel films, your Star Wars films, your whatever, that films like The Godfather, most people probably couldn't even handle these days. They'd be bored. It's too slow. There's not enough action. And it's like,
not enough explosions.
Do you understand? This is a very compelling story. Yes, it's kind of a slow burn. When something happens, it happens big and it happens fast. And then you deal with the slow burn fallout of it. But, it's kind of like what Stephanie was saying. The palates of the average film goer is not refined, right? So yes, I will accept that the Book of Boba Fett maybe isn't the cleanest of editing. Maybe it's a bit stretched out artificially. But damn, it is the Book of Boba Fett, not a series of individual books. Okay? So when people are doing their analysis on each individual episode, these aren't standalone episodes like episodes of The Next Generation. Okay? Where you could say, well, this was a good episode. That was a bad episode. These episodes really don't work separately. They're part of one narrative.
That's like most modern television in that respect, though.
A lot of them are.
The
Yeah,
cable
you're
shows
absolutely
and
right.
streaming shows are like that. Yeah.
And one could argue that every now and again you'll get a filler episode, and that's fine. And that's not going to be your favorite one. But you can't be halfway through it and go, is this leading to something? Yes, it's fucking leading to something, you dumbass. And you won't see it until the last damn episode. Wait.
It's funny. I used to watch The Americans. That was the show about the Russian spies in the 80s.
Was that the one with the girl?
Cherry Russell?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was on
I like her.
Yeah, I like the guy who played her husband on that show, too. He's a great actor. But the whole point
about... Teach his own. Whatever you like, boomer.
No, I'm saying, he was... No, he was fascinating because what was actually fascinating about both of them was that they could disguise themselves as anybody. Like, literally, like, they were both, like... could change, like she'd be the seductress or the the homely nurse at the same time. Do you understand?
Yes.
But what I want to make a point about that show is that and I would watch an episode and
real quick. I may have missed him, but I wanted to say goodbye to Star Wars Theory. Thanks so much for stopping by. Super encouraging to see you here. Looking forward to more content over on your channel. You great stuff, man. Take care. Have a good night. And as long as we're on it, wait a minute. Let me back up. Deleted Scenes is correcting me. He's saying Dark Side of the Rainbow. I've heard people call it Dark Side of the Rainbow. My particular copy of it is Dark Side of Oz. It just feels a little bit better to me, but let's face it, there's nothing official, so what can you possibly do about that? But yes, The Americans, sorry.
Anyway, what I was trying to say is that you would watch an episode, but the episode didn't feel like it had a distinct story. In fact, they would kind of just cut off.
Yeah.
And then you'd have to go on to the next episode. Now, each season had like a story that it would start with and wrap up at the end, and that kind of felt contained. Each season felt kind of contained. Not self-contained, like it would still... each season would add on to the other, but at least there was kind of a finer point at the end of each season. Whereas with each episode, sometimes it was like, oh, the episode's over. Oh, here come the coming attractions. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I've seen some shows, some movies have done this too, where you, and actually, maybe these aren't even the best media for these kinds of stories. I've read some great books where you're reading a chapter, for example, and it's about this group of people. Then you'll read another chapter and it's about a whole other group of people. And you're like, what does this have to do with what I just read about? And then you read another and it's about some other character. What the hell? And then it's not until like past the midway point they start to come together. And you start to go, oh. Yeah.
Wrath of Man is kind of like that, in that things are sort of shown out of order. Like you're not realizing why the guy's doing what he's doing. Then you see another part of it's actually, in fact, I think it's divvied up in the actual chapters. Like you get your first chapter, kind of like how Quentin Tarantino would do with some of his movies. So he'd separate them into chapters. Like you see Jason Statham, he's joining a money transfer company, and you're thinking, well, he's probably got a past. And I'm thinking, did he used to work for the CIA or the MI6 or something, But then you learn more about his character later, yeah.
You mentioned Tarantino. Tarantino does this very, very well. Mm-hmm. He tells his stories all out of order, but in the retrospect, you realize there's a reason for it. You want to see this scene and take it as a third-party observer, knowing nothing before it. Then you'll get a flashback or, whatever, however you want to look at it, and you go, oh... I see why that happened now, sort of thing. When I was doing my time travel series and we were doing rewatches, I did one, at least I think I did. Didn't I do a rewatch of Memento? It wasn't technically a time travel story, but the way it was told almost literally backwards. It was like a time travel story.
I made a comment. I wasn't with you, but I made a comment in the chat at the end and I said he is the villain of the story, because that's one of my favorite lines from Smallville was when Lex Luthor says, "You are right, Mr. Ken. I am the villain of the story." And I'm thinking, well, if you watch Memento, by the end, this guy is almost reminding of a Batman villain toward the end of the movie.
Yep.
He has kind of a tragic origin in a way, but he's
still
a bad guy,
but you can't see the movie.
Yes.
That way, if you watch it in chronological order, it wouldn't work.
From what I had heard, I keep thinking maybe there was a Canadian release. There was some DVD release that came with a chronological ordered version of the movie on it. And I've always been curious to watch it. I don't think it would be as good, anywhere nearly as good, but it was always a curiosity for me. But again, I don't know. I've never watched it that way, so I don't know. I heard that there was a version that came out where they did have it released chronologically.
Well, and that's fine to do after you've seen it.
Right.
Because you don't... I mean, that's like if someone who's seen the all 6 of the Star Wars movies... There's only 6 Star Wars movies, people. And you saw them, 4, 5, 6...
What about the 2 Ewok Adventure movies?
You can take or leave that. I mean, it's kind of like the holiday special. I consider them to be canon, but you don't need to see them.
There's your second trilogy, holiday special, and both Ewok Adventure movies.
You got me there. That might be. But if you saw, the way I did, the way most of us did, you saw Star Wars Empire Jedi, and then the 3 prequels. Okay, fine. That's the best way to see them initially. because you do not want the whole Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker thing ruined for you. You want to see it from Luke's point of view first, then you go back and you see Anakin's story, right?
Yeah.
However, once you've seen it that way, you want to watch them in chronological order? Sure, it's not going to ruin anything for you. Now you can kind of put it in your mind in order, and you go, okay, yeah, this makes a lot more sense. In fact, I would argue, go ahead and watch the Clone Wars in between episodes 2 and 3. It really does help the experience, because honestly, I feel like Anakin's character journey was too jarring in 2 movies. I don't even count that first movie. Him running around as a child as a pod racer was a waste of a movie for his character development. All of his character development came in 2 and 3. And it's just too big an arc too fast. Whereas if you include the Clone Wars cartoon series, this makes a whole lot more sense now.
Do you know what I always expected before the prequels came out? I always figured Obi-Wan Kenobi was going to be the protagonist.
He was meant to be. Originally, it was meant to be The Adventures of Obi-Wan Kenobi, was the first trilogy. The second trilogy was meant to be The Adventures of Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
I still feel it plays out that way, but from another point of view, all 6 movies are the story arc of Anakin Skywalker. You know? So, but as we point out, who's the hero? The hero of the first trilogy is Obi-Wan, right? The antagonist is Anakin, and the true villain is Palpatine. Second movie, the real hero is Luke Skywalker. The antagonist is Vader, and the true villain is still Palpatine, right? Full arc. You need the whole thing for it to make sense. And if you take any one of those movies, you're not seeing the whole picture. You know, you're missing a lot. And I feel like with the Book of Boba Fett, that's exactly what a lot of people are doing. They looked at the first episode, the second, any individual episode, and they're going, yeah, this doesn't work for me. Well, damn it, wait until the whole thing drops, okay? If you're going to watch the thing, watch the whole thing. You know?
So, I don't know. I've been thinking about Disney Plus.
Wait a minute. We before we go on to that, because you brought it up. Artificer Joni says, from what I gather, it's just a rumor. Hardly anyone remembers the Ewok movies. I saw them as a kid.
Oh, can I say something to that, Artificer Joni? I'm curious, yeah.
There was an Ewok cartoon as well. I've seen a few episodes of. It was okay. And Star Wars Droids was fun enough cartoon. I vaguely remember it having a finished dub. I didn't know that. Okay, go ahead, Boomer.
Artificer Joni, were the Ewok adventure movies shown in theaters in Finland? Because I had heard that they were released theatrically in Europe, whereas they were made for TV movies over here. Now, maybe you don't remember, or maybe but I've always been curious. That would happen with our made-for-TV movies, which show up in European theaters on the big screen. Well, actually, most famous example might be Twin Peaks, right? The pilot, which they converted into a movie. But I find that rather bizarre. Like, you'd go see the Ewok Adventure on the big screen.
Well, it depends on what your take on what the movie should be, right? Because I do remember a lot of really good family/kids movies when I was a kid, and sometimes our school would even take us to see them on field trips.
Oh, interesting. You know? Okay.
And so yeah, I totally get that. In fact, I went to a Catholic grade school, and they used to get Disney films in that they would show, you know, as like an outing on Saturdays. You'd come in, you could buy some popcorn, and you'd watch
the Parent Trap or something like that.
Parent Trap, Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Okay. What was the one with Kurt Russell where he was a robot?
Oh, the man with the brain of Millie. I don't know.
I don't remember, but I was a teenager.
The one where he got real strong. Yeah, Kurt Russell was in a lot of those, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. But because Artificer Joni said he saw him on satellite TV. Yeah, I mean, you probably got a lot of the stuff that we had on cable, and that's, I think, how I saw those Ewok Adventures, those 2 movies. But the cartoons you mentioned, Ewoks and Droids, we had, and I don't know what it was like on your side of the pond, but we had Saturday morning cartoons, and for the longest time, and usually they were to sell toys to kids, but Droids and Ewoks were, back to back. You'd see an episode of the Ewoks, you'd see an episode of the Droids, and honestly, the whole reason for them was Lucasfilm was trying to justify continuing to sell Star Wars toys when there was no Star Wars movies left. So it was actually in the Droids toy line that we got our A-Wing fighter for the A-Wing fighter action figure that came out with the last wave Power of the Force. They just threw the A-Wing into one episode of the Droids show so they could justify releasing the toy they already had in the pike. But most of the action figures that came out for Droids and for Ewoks are very hard to find and very expensive now on the secondary market because most people weren't interested in them at the time. And even now, only the completists that I gotta have that, villain from Droids or whatever. And I'm like, I still don't know who the hell that is, The computer wore tennis shoes. Thank you, deleted scenes. Yes, that was it. That's how I saw that. Was in the colonnade room at my at St. Louis de Marillac's grade school. Yeah. Oh, okay. So you had Saturday morning cartoons.
They're probably still a thing over there. They got rid of them over here, but
yeah, we went through this weird period where Congress got pissed off because they were using it to sell toys to kids, and it's like, so what? I mean, that was our childhood, and we loved it. And that's why we're still buying those toys now.
Is that when they demanded they have the information segment at the end of
there always had to be a moral, a lesson, something to be learned, because you also had to have they mandated that networks had to have a certain amount of educational value and stuff like that, and it's like
public service announcements.
Yeah, and it's like, honestly, that's where all this woke crap kind of started, was with the government pushing this kind of shit in commercial television. Nowadays, commercial television needs to just say, you know what? Private enterprise, fuck off.
You know what was interesting? I was a big fan of the cartoon Mysterious Cities of Gold that was on Nickelodeon in the 80s. And they had to have the information segment at the end of each episode too, but I would argue with that show, they were actually telling you stuff you actually needed to know to understand the show better. For instance, they have to one episode they have to pass through the Straits of Magellan, so they do a whole thing on what the Straits of Magellan were, why they were so dangerous for ships to go through.
And honestly, like I feel like that's some good writing, right?
Yeah.
Because if you need to work something educational into it, you do something that also elevates your story too, you know?
And they would do like they talked to a Japanese fisherman about St. Elmo's fire, about, because St. Elmo's fire may show up in an episode. So if something showed up in the episode, they could then give you a little bit of it, like a little encyclopedia entry at the end where they would,
and because
like a mini documentary. It's like a mini documentary.
And it's because it's a cultural reference. The Japanese fisherman wouldn't know anything about it.
Right. But he was explaining that he's encountered it though, or whatever it is. And,
Gotcha.
It was a neat series, and they explained how Straits of Magellan were a horrible way to get around, I think, South America until they developed the Panama Canal to get us through. That was
absolutely right.
Yeah, in fact, that was us, the United States. Yeah,
but I feel like it's we really have, and the meme that I use when I talk about this on the Twitter tweets is, we got these people that just, like the video I put out, I want it now. I want it all now. And you just can't, take in the episode, watch it, think about it, think, why is this here? If you're sitting here going, this is boring, why is this even here? Answer the question yourself. Why is that there? What is the theme of this show? What is the overarching storyline? Okay? All you can see is this one episode. Okay? What does the whole series, and within the greater scope, okay? This is part of Mandalorian. So the themes follow through, and I'll tell you. I'll give you the answer. I'm not just being hypothetical, rhetorical here. I'm going to give you the answer. The answer is it's about family. It's about tribe. It's about unity. And sometimes those what is the saying about friends? Friends are family you choose for yourself, right? And if you're out there all on your own, you forge relationships with people that are going to be stronger than the family that has nothing to do with you, right? And that's what this is, right? So when I see people not getting that, this I want it now kind of mentality, my brain immediately goes to that character from Idiocracy, sitting there watching TV, go away, baiting, because that's all he knows. Just, self-pleasuring himself watching, boobs on a TV screen. That's the maximum understanding he can make. That's the maximum, that he can comprehend of his entertainment, right?
Was it like the movie being shown in the theater, like a big butt on the screen, and like
yeah, and everyone's laughing, right? Yeah, or the guy getting kicked in the balls over and over again. That's the funny thing. And what gets me about Idiocracy, and we're gonna have to do a rewatch of that one night, because it's become reality, right? Where we used to watch the best movies were the long movies, 3-hour movies like Ben-Hur and Gone with the Wind and Citizen Kane, Godfather, right?
Yeah.
Now, oh my gosh, if it's an hour, that's too long. I'm used to my 15-minute, YouTube videos.
Okay.
I want it.
In defense, though, even back in the day, they would have intermissions with those movies, so you can get up and go to the lobby.
Yeah. So these days you can hit pause and rewind.
Yeah,
you can literally pause and go to the bathroom anytime you want.
I had heard a while back growing up. Now, to be fair, this attention span may have changed, but the average attention span of was 90 minutes. So usually, when you were getting past the 90-minute mark with a movie, you were pushing it, unless of course it's one of these big Hollywood blockbusters that usually go out. In fact, the European length for movies, American length is 2 hours. Hollywood is 2 hours. Europe, though, they would try to shoot for 90 minutes. You can see this today. They shoot for 90 minutes.
There's something to be said for that. I've heard script doctors say, does it need to be 3 hours? And if so, why? And that does become a pacing issue. Can you tell your story? And this is, any writer, any public speaker will say, if you can say it succinctly in less words, that's the way to do it.
And guess what the longest Star Wars movie was?
The one with Jar Jar Binks.
Well, it just seemed like it. I don't know.
Last Jedi. Last Jedi, really? That was the most bloated, yes. If you count that one, which I know you don't.
I don't even think about it. Yeah.
But I want to ask you a question, though. We were talking about Disney Plus. Do you think Disney Plus is struggling more than we thought it was going to be in these streaming wars?
And I'm not really sure what I thought was going to happen, but it became very clear very early on that they had all of the raw materials for success, and they fucked it up. They really did.
Disney bought 20th Century Fox, and one of the reasons I heard they had bought them was to get Hulu, which was already an established streaming service. But then they make their own streaming service that's separate from Hulu. And you can buy a bundle that includes that and Hulu and a couple other things. But it's like, I'm just wondering if maybe people see Disney Plus and they think kids and families, and I don't need to buy this. Is there? Well, there's not adult content on there. This is like PG-13.
This is exactly what Stephanie was alluding to, and I was starting to comment on too. We just got, and we'll probably talk about this more on Sunday, but Susan Arnold just appointed, what's her name? Alexia Quadrani or something like that of J.P. Morgan. She's going to be the new, what do they call it? The person that decides, how things get marketed and whatnot.
Right.
And acquisitions and whatnot. And she's basically taking the place of what was his name? Lowell Singer. Lowell Singer was the one who was behind the Fox buyout,
right,
and the decisions about the direct to consumer streaming, bypassing the theaters, which has not worked out at all, right? So it's very clear that those decisions Disney is not happy with. You don't fire somebody if they're doing a good job and you're happy with what they did. So that's basically saying those decisions, not good decisions. They acquired 20th Century Fox and they did fuck all with it.
They own FX, the cable channel FX. You remember FX?
Yeah.
The Americans. I was mentioning the Americans. I believe that was an FX series. That's a series for adults. I'm trying to think what else they've done. There was I think they did a show about a young Professor X that was set in the X-Men, the old.
And didn't you just say they own Hulu as well?
Well, they own Hulu, and Hulu was I believe it was the Fox-owned streaming service, and I think a lot of the ABC shows were on there too. Here's what the purpose of Hulu originally. I'll explain to you what it was. It's for people. It originally started out as you buy Hulu. And all the stuff you watch on network television, like your CBS, your NBC or ABC, this was my impression, your Fox, it's all on Hulu. You can watch it with or without commercials, depending on your pay grade. So it was your streaming service for people that like to watch network television.
Yeah.
Back when network television was a bigger deal because you had shows like Lost, that was must-see TV, and all sorts of things. Now, I think Hulu is still Fox and ABC. In fact, probably wonders what is even on Fox these days. I guess reality shows, because Disney owns Fox and they own ABC.
But more importantly,
why are they going to make? Yeah, they're competing.
What
with
I
each
said
other
when all of this happened, I said, and they were starting Disney Plus and so on and so forth. I said, Disney is in the right position to take over this and spearhead and keep everyone else out, right? They have their entire backlog of all the movies from now almost 100 years of Disney, right? And they have all the shows that they've done on their various cable channels, the Disney Channel and Disney Kids and Disney this and Disney that and all the others, right?
Right.
Now they've bought 20th Century Fox and they have Hulu so they have all of that back catalog too.
National Geographic, I think they own too. The National Geographic channel, I think they own that.
Right.
That's documentaries.
So what you do is you make one streaming service.
Yes, with all this stuff in it.
With two choices. You got your family-friendly Disney and your Hulu, right? You get them both, but you get the ability to block the Hulu from your kids, okay? And all of your adult films, and films, but I mean
American Horror Story is an FX
sure.
show.
Anything Fox goes over there. Over there. And anything Disney goes over there. Okay? Now, you might decide that there is some Fox stuff to put on the Disney side. Maybe your Star Wars comes over to the Disney side.
Like the old cartoons that Fox used to have. Maybe
the old Fox cartoons. All of that kind of stuff becomes Disney, right? But I'll be honest with you, there's probably some stuff from the Disney side that could go over to
like
Fox.
I would Touchstone, like Splash, where you can actually see Daryl Hannah's butt instead of it being blurred out in the Disney.
That would be version. A perfect example. Another one I would say would be like the Black Hole. Probably better on Fox than Disney. You know some of that kind of stuff.
You know what's interesting when I think of all of this? I think back to the old days of the Disney Channel. Do you remember the Disney Channel on cable? Were you around for that?
Yes.
when it started, they used to give it out. They gave it. I know some of you may think that it was something that was given out for free. No, you had to pay for it in the
Yep.
beginning.
It was a
pay
premium
channel,
service, yeah.
like HBO, like Showtime. You had to pay for it, and I feel like history is repeating itself because eventually they had to make it a free channel on the cable service because I guess and they would put commercials on it. I think, and because it just wasn't getting the paid subscribers, and I feel like they're doing it again.
Yep.
Because streaming, it's not exactly the same, but on some level, reminds me.
And
of
what's
all
even worse is
channels.
there was even multiple Disney channels. There was the Disney Channel, there was Disney Kids, there was
Disney XD, which I think was
XD,
for preteens
exactly.
or something, and yeah,
and it's like no. You're splitting up your own brand. There should, you want to dominate the market, you put it all on one channel, okay? And it didn't work in the 80s. It's not going to work now. This whole idea of the whole freaking Disney vault. Those days are past, okay? If you have a streaming service, I am paying for all access to all things.
You're paying for convenience because people can find other ways to watch things, Disney. I'm just going to let you know.
Because otherwise, guess what? I already have the DVD. I don't even need your channel. That's the problem, right?
And because I don't know why they decided to split up Hulu and Disney and make it like a tiered buying system instead of just making it a lump fee and you get all of this stuff with it. And then maybe promoting Hulu and promoting some of those stuff on FX for the adults that might want to watch it. When the kids go to bed, they might want to watch something like The Americans or American Horror Story or whatever FX has, or even your network shows. Like I think Hell's Kitchen is a Fox series. That's on there.
And
you don't want to watch that with the kids around.
I don't understand this mentality of, we got to keep it family friendly. Okay, but Disney has owned Miramax and a lot of other things in the past, and they kept those separate, and that's fine, and you can do that, and that did not tarnish Disney in any way, shape, or form. You do the same thing with 20th Century Fox. It's that simple.
They want to be for families.
Well,
they want to be for kids and teens, I guess. That was their other market.
And
I don't know.
And this is where we get into, they made these acquisitions without doing anything with them. And I think that's now where the money people are coming in and going, okay, you spent our money and did nothing with it. You can go, goodbye. Now we're going to bring in people. We want you to do stuff with this. Okay, what do we got? Okay, let's see. How do we make some money?
You got Planet of the Apes.
I believe these people will start making those kinds of decisions like I'm suggesting. And I'm just spitballing. They may even have better ideas than I do. Okay, but we're already starting to see the changes, and it's got to be good. It can only get better, right?
We'll see. I'm not sure if I'm looking forward to that Alien series that's being made for FX again. It's not even like this is an exclusive on your Hulu app. This Alien series. Now, granted, what I've heard about it so far, I'm not too excited. But if it was going to be a good R-rated Alien series, you could put that on Hulu. Here's your R-rated series. It might get people that might want to watch something on HBO, like HBO Max, like something that's a little edgier, like Game of Thrones or Westworld. Oh, here's an R-rated show set in the Aliens universe. I might want to watch this on the Hulu app. And I get Disney with it too? Okay.
What Chapek had said, and I hope it's true, is that they're going to be focusing more on the fans, and they're going to be focusing on creatives. Okay, that the creatives are going to basically it sounded like, if you read between the lines, he's looking at the whole, Jon Favreau and how he set up the success of the Marvel universe. Okay, when you had someone that was creative doing that, it became a money machine. And when they stopped doing that, basically when Kevin Feige took over, it just went to shit. You took success and you killed it. You had a plant that was growing like a weed, and you fed it Gatorade, and now it's dying. That's the kind of thing they're talking about. And I've been saying all along, Star Wars needed someone like Favreau that would come in and look at it big picture, right? Not just this one show, this one movie that I want to work on. You look at the whole universe and you go, this was the old Republic, this was the time of the rebellion, this is the time of the new Republic, this is the lore, this is the way, and that builds success. And I said all along that, when you salt the ground, it takes a long time to replace all that soil and replant and grow new crops and then rotate those crops to enrich the soil, and then you start to produce.
Yeah, can someone tell that to the writers of Doctor Who right now?
Well, but that's what we're seeing happening in Star Wars, right?
Right.
And yeah, maybe we will see that happen again with Doctor Who, or not. We'll see.
Because they salted that ground, let's be honest.
They really did. Now, with any other property, you salt the earth and you have to dig way down. You got to replace the topsoil, rinse the salt out, all this kind of stuff. Doctor Who could be a lot easier, right? The topsoil can be picked up because it's got like a plastic lining, and you can pick it up, move it aside, drop new one in, and go, because of the nature of the whole time travel and, wibbly wobbly timey wiminess. If they're clever. And Russell Davies is. He could do it. If that's his goal. If he's motivated, we'll see. I don't know. But
Jodie Whittaker was the master after all.
No. What I would say,
I'm just trying to think what's ridiculous.
What I would say is that she could very well be, the Doctor, but she made the mistake of believing the Master yet again, because everything we know that's all been retcon, that was all from the point of view of an unreliable witness, right? That being the Master. We know the Master lies. Why is she taking it all at face value? Why are we taking it all at face value? So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I've been saying for the longest time that things are changing over at Disney, and they are. And look, you can't fight it anymore. You can't argue against it. Okay, I don't care how black pill you are at this point. If you're still arguing it, the whole civil war at Disney and things are going to change and this and that, if you still aren't seeing it, then you are being willfully ignorant and willfully blind. You have to bend over backwards to defend this negativity of yours. And it's just ridiculous at this point. You're not dealing with reality. Okay? Reality is happening and you're not seeing it. You have decided, I don't like some things that Dave Filoni said at an interview one time, and I don't like Ahsoka, and therefore I don't like anything that Disney is ever going to do ever. Fine. Then quit making your Disney or your YouTube channel about it. Quit talking about it. Go on to something else.
Well, you were bringing up a point, I think even Stephanie was mentioning earlier, how a lot of the negativity helps the algorithm, though, right? Like, it'll help your...
Yeah, so, and I don't know if he's still here, and I hope he doesn't mind me bringing this up, but Deleted Scenes had, commented that he was concerned about a particular YouTube channel. He says, I'm afraid that, in the past you've been very even-handed, very tell it like it is, we report, you decide kind of thing. But you've been getting kind of negative lately, and I think you might be kind of bowing to the algorithms and so forth, and I'm a little concerned about it. And the head of the YouTube channel said, well, yeah, we have been a little clickbaity in the past, and it's true, because it's what we got to do to make the money, to keep the lights on and so forth. But hopefully we're still, getting the truth out there and still being even-handed. I don't know. I'm not going to be too harsh on them about that, but I see other channels that are even worse, that literally they are reviewing the Book of Boba Fett in a way that is so ridiculous, and so nitpicky, and so unfair that you could look at the original trilogy and it wouldn't stand up to that level of scrutiny. I don't like how they're Disneyfying Boba Fett. He was an evil badass, and now they've Disneyfied him. Well, didn't George do that with Darth Vader? It's the same exact story arc, right?
Yeah.
Fell to evil for good reasons, maybe. Realized that things hadn't gone his way, and he was working literally against what he wanted to. And in the end, he turns it around and becomes the hero.
Yeah.
That's Darth Vader, guys.
So, anyway, yeah, I don't know. So, do you think, though, how do you think it's going to end? We're the halfway point in the season?
Before I get to that, there was one quote, and Deleted Scenes is still here. I'm sticking with the channel too, but one of their offshoots I stopped following and removed my membership because that just got too black pill. I'm sticking with the main channel, but this is that leads to exactly this quote. It's a quote by Friedrich Nietzsche, right? Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster. And if you gaze long enough into the abyss will gaze back into you. And I really feel like there's a lot of YouTube channels out there that are going out there with the right intent to fight for pop culture and positivity and our favorite franchises, but they have become so negative about the thing they're fighting against that they are becoming the monster themselves. They can no longer see the good when they're actually winning. Okay? It's like the social justice warriors out there that start out by fighting for equality between the races and the genders, and most people believe that's a good thing. But when you get laws put into place that you cannot discriminate based on race, creed, color, gender, everyone's got to be paid fairly and equally, okay? When those laws are passed, your job is done. You won, okay? If you still feel there is some inequality, then use those laws. Go and take it to court. If that company is not paying you as much as a man because you're a woman, sue their fucking asses. The problem is you can't, because you're making less not because you're a woman, but because you have less experience, or you chose to do something different, or you left the workforce for a while to raise a family. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that, but that was your choice. You know? Yeah. I'm making a very specific example just for illustrative purposes.
I was thinking too, I think maybe did I bring this up maybe on Sunday stream about or maybe I talked about you with probably about Scream 5, about how a lot of these YouTubers are laying into it as being this woke fest, and I'm sorry, I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it how it is anywhere between any of the other.
Script Doctor made a great point. He said if your threshold for woke is that it's got a lead character that's a female, then I'm sorry, I can't help you. That is a very fucking low bar for woke. Okay, because I don't think Lara Croft was woke. I don't think that Ripley was woke in Aliens. Okay, I mean,
Oh, Matanui's asking Scream 5. It's just called Scream. I call it Scream 5 because the title, calling it Scream, the same title, is stupid. Yeah. But that's kind of what the movie's making fun of.
It's kind of it's appropriate to what it is.
Okay.
Yeah,
but yes.
I mean, I love, and this is why people love Scream, right? Because it plays with the convention. It's deconstruction, but it's good deconstruction.
I mean, I'm not saying that the movie's perfect, but I said it's at least good, which is a lot better than the last sequel I saw to Halloween, which I'm not going to get into now. So,
Vicky, I super appreciate that. I see this happening, okay, and continuing along that line of logic that I was going on. We know people that are third wave feminists, right? And all of us that grew up in the 70s, we understand feminism from the Gloria Steinem point of view, right? Equal rights amendment, men and women should be treated equally, right to choose, all this kind of stuff, right? You won. Take the win. You are considered equal under the law. You are considered equal by any rational person. And anybody who doesn't treat you as equal because you're a woman is a fucking douche canoe and deserves nothing but derision. That is the standard for our society now. You won, okay? But honestly, some of these third wave feminists want to continue fighting as if they're fighting for suffrage. You already got the right to vote. That ain't going to be taken away from you.
Well, some people need to justify with their jobs.
They need to justify continuing to fight a fight, right? And, you know, I see the same thing happen. What was the argument in for equality? We have amendments in the Constitution. You cannot be discriminated against because of your color, okay? And in the 60s, Dr. King dreamed of a world where people would not be judged by the color of their skin, but on the content of their character, okay? So in the 70s, we went through this cultural socialization and education that we should be figuratively colorblind, right? That we should be judging people by the content of their character and not by the color of their skin. And if you didn't do that, you were a racist prick, okay? Yep. And that was the standard for society. But now, that's not enough. Now, we don't want to just be equal. We want to be more than equal. We want to continue to have that victim mentality so we can feel special. That's what it's become. Now, it's not enough to be equal and ignore race. Now we need to punish for past sins. We are going to punish the people that committed atrocities against our ancestors, even though you didn't commit those atrocities and they weren't committed against me. You know?
So how
I mean, if you live by an eye for an eye, you're going to end up with a world of blind people. There comes a point where you got to, take and move on and rise above. We shall overcome. Overcome already, people.
Anyway, though, so you looking forward to the rest of Boba Fett? How do you think it's going to end? Do you have any prediction thoughts?
So, I've been trying really hard not to predict too much. I can tell you what people are saying, and they're probably right. There's a lot of people that assume there will be a Luke Skywalker type moment, like at the end of Mandalorian. So the current belief is that there is going to be a Han Solo appearance, because of all the rumors about Harrison Ford filming some scenes at Lucasfilm, and they have all the CG stuff that he's done for Indy and whatnot, so it seems reasonable. There's going to be something like that. I think we might see Han Solo and Chewie or something like that. I had a thought. It's not really a prediction. I think it's pie in the sky, but something that I would like to see. And if actually, you know what? Go away. I hate
Is there a bot?
Yeah, it's a pop-up. My the weather and stuff pops up when you're trying to reach for something. I want to bring this one up. Vicky V says, I keep hearing Luke and Grogu are going to show up in episode 6. Hope we get Han too. So, and look, Vicky's got Grogu as her icon there. Let me tell you, we know that there's probably going to be a Grogu appearance just based on the way they ended the last episode of Book of Boba Fett, right? Mando meets up with Fennec Shan, and she says, "We need muscle." Actually, I'm guessing that the people that are watching it have already seen it. Those that haven't, like yourself, Boomer, are not going to get around to it anytime soon. So I'm gonna drop the spoiler. Right, the last episode was pretty much all from the point of view of Mandalorian, leading up to Fennec Shan reaching out to him saying, "We need your help." Okay, so what happens is he's on Tatooine and he's just gotten a new ship, and Fennec Shan shows up and she comes and she throws him a bag full of credits, and she says, "We need some muscle." And he looks at the bag of money, and he looks at her and he says, "Boba Fett?" She said, "Yeah." And he says, "Tell him it's on the house. I owe him. But I've got to visit a little friend first. He's going to see Grogu." So that's already established. He's going to see Grogu. He's got a gift for him. We don't...
Shaped like his head.
Yeah. So in the episode, he finds the armorer, and he's got that Beskar pike that he took off of, what's his name? Moff Gideon. And the armorer is kind of offended by it. She says, a Beskar blade can cut through Beskar. It is a danger to us, and it is not the way. And he goes, "Well, forge it into something else then. A gift for a foundling." And she says, "This is the way." He says, "A specific foundling." And we know he means Grogu. Because she even says, your duty to him is done. He says, "I feel a connection to him," whatever. Okay, so she gives him something. She's made him something out of Beskar, and we don't know exactly what it is. And she puts it into a little bandana, tied with a simple knot. But when he holds that bandana in his hand, it looks like Grogu's head with the ears. It's kind of cute. So he's obviously going to be going and seeing Grogu probably in the next episode. And I had posted a picture in the MeWe group and on YouTube, not YouTube, on Twitter. It's the picture of Luke holding Grogu. And I said I could totally see this. Mando shows up, sees Grogu, and we know Grogu is pre-verbal, but we also know that the Jedi, like Ahsoka, were able to understand him through telepathy or whatever it is. So he turns to Luke, and what is because these things rhyme, right? They've got to play back to what was said before. Grogu says to Luke, "I've got to help them. They're my friends," right? Just like Luke said to Yoda. What did Yoda say? "No, your training's not complete. You got to stay." "No, I'm not staying." He goes, "It's a bad scenario." What if Luke says, "You've got to complete your training, little one. So I'll go with you. We'll consider it a field trip." I think that would be brilliant. And it would also show that Luke is a different teacher than Yoda. And that this is a new Jedi Order. Right? That whole idea of cutting all ties, and everything like that. I don't see that in the new Jedi Order. That didn't work, right? It led to exactly the problem that the Jedi had in the prequels, right? Where they were so detached, they let everything go to shit around them, right? Well, we don't interfere and we don't get involved in da-da-da and this and that. And then suddenly you're in the middle of a fucking war, right? And and the whole thing falls apart, right? And that was not the way, right? The way Luke was right, okay? He did need to help his friends. Unfortunately, he did not succeed. He failed. And his friends ended up fucking saving him. You know? So what does he do? He goes back to complete his training, and then, well, no, you don't really need any more training. You just needed to grow up. You know? And you've done that. Congratulations. Now go and, restart the Jedi, whatever. So here's another thing. Another thing. And I'm not saying this for necessarily Book of Boba Fett, but I think further down the line, there's got to be Luke has got to have an interaction with Ahsoka. And Ahsoka has got to impart something to him. And I know that there's a lot of black pills out there that are going to be like, they don't like Ahsoka and that's woke and bullshit and da-da-da. It's like, fucking get over it. We need new characters, okay? We can honor the past and the classic characters, but we got to slowly integrate new characters like Ahsoka, like Din Djarin, like Fennec Shand.
She's not really new at this point. She's been around since how long now? I mean,
yeah, get over it. She's
2008.
She's here to stay. And you know what? I'm sorry if you're still saying that she was a Mary Sue. Again, you didn't do a good analysis. Again, you looked at 1 or 2 episodes, and you didn't look at the full arc. Okay, just saying. Right, that's exactly what I was saying, Vicky. He failed when he went to save his friends in Empire Strikes Back. They had to come back and save him. But then it all turns around in Return of the Jedi. He heads up the plan to go rescue Han. Right? Which is funny because, Han's like, I'm out of it for a little while and everyone gets delusions of grandeur. Well, guess what? Now I owe you.
I have to admit, though, I'm thinking back to when he goes. They did that in the radio drama of Empire Strikes Back, and I think we already talked about that though.
Yes.
Yeah. So never mind. Yeah, but I thought it was interesting how they did it in that. But yeah.
No, and the second part, you're absolutely right on that too, because when he goes back, you're right. He's learned to listen to the Force, right? He did learn the lesson. It just took him a little while to learn how to implement it. Now he's listening to the Force. But he's still in the mentality of, I said I have to go back and complete my training, so I'm going to go back and complete my training. And he submits himself to his master, and Yoda's like, no, you don't need any more training. You got all the training you need. Now you just got to finish the work, which is facing Vader again. And honestly, looking at it in retrospect, this wasn't Luke's intent, but what he did was he called out Yoda on the keeping the truth from him, right? And the whole certain point of view and all that kind of stuff. Really, there's an arc there too. Yoda and Obi-Wan fucked up. They did. It is on them as much as anyone else that Vader turned to the dark side and Palpatine won and the Old Republic fell. For all of his talk about the great Old Republic, a more civilized era, well, you were a great shepherd of it, weren't you? You let it fall. Honestly, the Jedi Council let it fall because they were arrogant and detached and weren't paying attention.
Well, with Yoda, he said it was very cloudy, right? He couldn't see what was going on. He made a point about that. I remember that.
But I think Yoda learned some lessons too, right? Because, and I always felt this to be true. We know that Yoda's race is much more longer lived than humans. We see it with Grogu. We see it with him. I think that kind of idea that it takes it takes 500 years to become a master. No. When your lifespan is only like 80, 90 years, you got to get the learning in. You got to learn the lessons. You got to mature, grow, become a master, or, and that's the way it is. When your time is short, you buckle down a lot faster,
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Luke did. And Yoda went from, this is the way we always did it, to, not only is this the way we always did it, I'm afraid to make another mistake and create another Vader. So he's too old to begin the training. You know? Well, guess what? He kind of proved you wrong. And he ended up surpassing your expectations. And he was ready. And he went and he faced his father, and guess what? Not only did he learn the truth, but he didn't turn to the dark side. And now he's going back again, and he still doesn't turn to the dark side. In fact, he pulls Anakin back from the dark side, which was something you couldn't do, which was something Obi-Wan couldn't do, and frankly, even Ahsoka couldn't do.
Yeah.
She came the closest, but she failed too.
And he didn't go back and kick Yoda's little green butt.
No, because he went back with humility. This is still my master. You know, I think you're wrong. I'm going to prove you wrong. But I'm here to complete my training because I said I would. Okay. You say I don't need it. And he, every step of the way, he felt lost when he died. He's like, ugh. You know, and it took Obi-Wan to come back and say that. You got this, kid. Go do it, you know. But
yeah. So...
Yes, actually, you know what? This is a great summation for what I've been getting at the whole time. Matanui, you put it into a perfect little capsule. Black pill just means you're negative beyond reason. That is exactly right. And it is so frustrating because I'm here talking logic and you're talking, you know, knee-jerk, you know, slogans. Stop and think about what you're saying, people. You don't even know what you're bitching about anymore after a certain point. You know?
Oh.
No, I don't think, because what was his reaction? You know, what I told you was true from a certain point of view. What is Luke's immediate reaction? A certain point of view? Now, he does come back with a little bit of wisdom. You'll find that many of the truths we cling to, you know, are true from a certain point of view, but from another point of view, they could look different. And that's fine. But Luke was kind of calling him on his bullshit. No, you lied. You weren't just telling me something that was true from a certain point of view. You outright lied.
Yeah.
You know? So let's not call a spade a spade.
Here.
Yeah.
Troy,
you know?
Troy, it's getting late though. I gotta be heading
out.
It
has passed 11 o'clock. Let me just get the last comments
sure.
that
Sure.
Because I've been doing my best today to stay up on top and make sure that everyone feels included, because we are a tribe, and this is the way. Could be argued Ahsoka, she bordered on one, yeah, but I don't think she ever fully became one. You know, I've seen some commentaries about Ahsoka, and Filoni specifically said, yes, he intended her to start out as an arrogant Mary Sue. That not only is she arrogant, but at least initially, her arrogance pays off, and she proves herself right. But she gets slapped down hard. She learns the hardest way. When they put her in charge of a team and they all get dead, she learns she's got all those lives on her hands, and she's like, whoops, and she still doesn't quite learn the lesson. And then she gets thrown out of the Jedi Order, and she thinks it's unfair, but it's like, look, girl, you got to go get your shit together. So now when we see her come back in Mandalorian, she's not a Jedi, she's not a part of the Order, but she is a lot wiser for the wear. She's something else, and I do think she may have a role to play in the new Jedi Order. That's why I think Luke can learn something from her, but I think she can learn a lot from Luke too. She is not a Mary Sue. She was intended to start out as a Mary Sue that gets slapped down and humbled, and I think that's exactly what they did, and they did it very, very well. We are both uncompromising in our beliefs and against being hypocrites. That's great, you know. That's but I think that you got to be very careful, right? Because it's like I said, you stare in the abyss too long, and the abyss stares back into you. You go hunting monsters, be careful you don't become a monster. And just because you have convictions, you got to be careful that you don't become judgmental of the other people. You need to look for the good in the enemy. Okay, what did Luke do? Did Luke cut down Vader? No, he redeemed him, right? Even when everyone else said it's not doable. Obi-Wan, I used to believe there was still good in him. I was wrong. No, you're wrong now. Luke just proved it. That's why your friend is with you in the afterlife or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see what else.
There was a Vicky V one there. Yeah, but Anakin had a bad actor.
Yeah. And see, Vicky, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. That drawing these connections. Who are these characters? They're not just archetypes, right? They are individuals that have a history that we've followed that play into it. Anakin lost his mother, and she was the only family he knew. And, these are problems. And then when he feels like betrayed by Obi-Wan, these things kind of weigh on you. And when you have someone who takes you in and says, "I won't betray you. you'll that's how people join cults, right? That's how people are recruited. You feel abandoned by the people around you, and you are suddenly surrounded by a group of people that love you so much. You don't see the nefarious plan they have for you until it's too late, and you have nothing else but that. That's a clan too, but that's a very evil, very twisted, sort of clan. But these attachments are what these stories are all about.
Cool.
But
so
anyway, we should kind of start wrapping it up. So
what do you got going on this week?
What do I have going on this week? I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow. and oh no, that's not what you mean. Yes, we do have a rewatch over on Big Al Presents. A show that you seem to love a lot called The Swarm.
Yeah, we're all going to watch it together. It's going to be fun.
The last in a series of Irwin Allen rewatches. I've never seen the movie, but
make sure whichever version you get your hands on, it's the extended edition. I believe that's one Al's using, and I think it's also the version I own. So I think that might be the 2.5 hour one. So let me find out if that's the running time on that. Yeah.
Oh, that's too long. That's an editing problem. That's pacing.
It probably is in this case, but anyway,
I have no idea.
You know what? You like Fred McMurray? He's in it.
Really? Okay, yeah, I do like Fred McMurray.
Well, there you go.
The father in My Three Sons, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Sunday we have
and the original Nutty Professor, right?
That's true.
Or Absent-Minded Professor. Absent-Minded Professor. That's what it was.
Sunday we have Geeky Geezers.
Sunday Geeky Geezers. What are we going to be talking about, Boomer? Give us a little insight.
All sorts of things. We have apparently they're making a He-Man live-action movie for Netflix. But what else was going on this? We had more important stuff. Hold on. We had
some more game news.
What game news? I don't
Didn't
remember
we have
now.
some game news?
We
it's like
probably
every
did.
week
I don't remember. We're going to talk about stuff. We're going to talk
about stuff. Wait, let me scroll back.
Certain actors with a chip on their shoulders.
Oh yeah, we're going to get into a certain Latinx actor who has some real problems. I've already done a video about him, but we're going to address that.
And we're also going to do we got other stuff we're going to talk about. I don't know.
Another Marvel film is getting
Marvel series getting extended cuts and all sorts of others.
Going back for some re-editing.
Some good news about Ghostbusters box office. We'll talk about that.
And another Marvel actress coming out on the social media making a political statement, but this one kind of being received very positive by a lot of fans.
She might be in your camp on this.
She's
issue.
also taken a lot of negatives too, so we'll see what ends up happening. We'll see how the woke crowd deals with it, but
I'll be very interested to see how.
We'll give you an update on the box office for Ghostbusters Afterlife. I think people will be interested in that. And we got another couple actors shooting their mouth off and pissing people off, and
So
we'll get into all of that. Some streaming information, and we're going to say goodbye to a voice actor that.
Maybe a
Maybe a good old day to come out of that.
I think a good old day is going to come out of that, definitely, because
Yeah.
I can talk about that for a long time. So yeah, but join us Sunday and Tuesday. We have Culture Fortress.
Yep, Tuesday over on Mr. Matchstick's channel. I will be talking about, and we've already done a good old days on Aged Boomer's channel about this, but I will be talking on Culture Fortress again about Quantum Leap. Great series. If you haven't seen it, you really should, especially since they're about to start doing a revival on it.
Yes, and I'll be talking about the Blizzard Arcade Collection, which is not really an arcade collection, and I thought it would be funny, but it's a classic games collection that got re-released. I thought it'd be funny to talk about in the midst of Blizzard being on fire and all with the accusations, but apparently now they're owned by Microsoft, so that's a whole nother thing. But anyway,
I told you. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll
So-
talk about the Snow White thing on Sunday too, the Peter Dinklage thing.
Let me just put it this way. And I'll bring this up on Sunday, but I think they should just change the name of Snow White and the Seven
Yes.
Dwarfs. They should make it Blanca Nieves and the Seven Acrodiplastic Siblings.
That sounds good. That sounds good. This thing's gonna bear no resemblance to the. You know, it'd be funny if they were gonna do what some people do when it's cute and you set it in modern times, and you do, which you mess around with it. But they're still gonna try to pull in the people like the classic story. But you're making all these changes. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Well, and again, I think people are now just looking for things to be offended about.
We'll talk
You know.
about it on Sunday.
Yep,
And
yep.
let's see, Wednesday night, Birdman and I will try to do another rewatch of, because apparently he and Al had different cuts of the movie, so we're going to have to sync up, which is the Steven Spielberg movie 1941, I think his only real comedy, right?
There is more than one cut of that movie?
There's apparently an extended cut. I have the Blu-ray out from the public library. Apparently it has both cuts on it, so...
You
I
were
don't
ready
know.
to go. Those two just didn't know what they were doing, right?
Well, no, another problem was, and Birdman brought this up, apparently the version he purchased off of Google Glass, even though he thought it was the 2-hour version, it was like heavily censored. Remember what you say about owning physical media?
This
Like,
is
they cut
why
out
you
all
should
the stuff
own
you've been-
physical media. Yeah.
What I told him to do, I told him to set up a Movies Anywhere account, link it to his Google Glass, because sometimes on these different streaming services you have where you buy the thing and it goes to all of them, sometimes you get a different version of the movie. Maybe if he gets Movies Anywhere and links his Google Glass account, maybe it'll be the correct version on the Movies Anywhere account. I told him to try that out.
Honestly, what Netter and I are doing is we own our physical media and we take the DVD off the shelf,
Yep.
we rip it, and play it off the computer, and then take it off the hard drive when we're done, just because we don't want to take up 8 gigabytes of space on our, we don't need to. But,
Yeah, put it on a disc. But and that leads us next Friday. Which what are you going to be doing then?
I haven't decided yet. I can say that last year I had Mikey the Mexican Iron Man on as a guest, and he said he would come back, but I'm trying to work out a date because he's doing some traveling in the next couple weeks, and I just want to be sensitive to where he's going to be and whatnot. But I do want to talk more about this. Just being positive about good things happening, in our fandoms. We've I think the long fandom nightmare is coming to an end, and I'm seeing I'm seeing better things in the future. And Mikey has always been a voice of positivity. And I think he's starting to struggle on some things a little bit now too, but we can talk about those things when he comes on. And I want to bring on more YouTubers that just are, well, not that Mikey is trying to build his channel or anything, but there are other YouTubers that I want to get on that are trying to build their channel that I want to help them build their channel. Maybe they help me a little bit. So anybody who's here in the stream right now, still, if you haven't left, or if you're watching this in the future, whatever, reach out to me. Send me a DM. My email is on the About page for this channel. Or if you're connected to me on the Twitters or the MeWe or whatever, reach out to me. I would love to get you on as a guest one week and just talk about your channel and whatever it is you like to do on your channel and what your fandoms are and what you're trying to accomplish. And as PJ over at Orville Nation says, we grow together. So I want to do more of that in the new year. So definitely want to make that happen. Cool. But anyway, that's all I've got coming up. I did I tell you I got a 3D printer?
That's gonna be exciting. You can do a demo of that on a
Well, that's the problem. I've had it now for almost a week.
Oh no!
And I still haven't read the damn book. I haven't had time. I need to, it's like stereo instructions, I swear. I need to read this damn thing so I can start using it, but I haven't had time. And I bring that up because there's also, 5-6 videos I have in the hopper that need to be edited, and I just need to find the time to do it,
Finding time to do things is tricky.
But I've got a lot of toy videos that I want to get out, and I've got a couple other ideas. Like I said, I want to do my own cut of Dark Side of Oz or Dark Side of the Rainbow, if you insist, deleted scenes, so that we could do a rewatch of that. And so those are some of the things I got that I'm working on.
Sounds good.
Alrighty.
Bye-bye.
So wait. I'll give you the last word, Artificer Joni. Like I mentioned, once social movements have a rough lifespan of a decade or two, and wokeness started getting big around 2004, 2007.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, I think it's begun to run its course because, stupid can only go so far. People can only, go, wait a minute. Now you're just getting freaking ridiculous and making no sense.
That
anymore.
might be an interesting stream sometime if you have you and me, and maybe a couple other guests to talk about when we started noticing the wokeness stuff get really bad. Like when that kind of maybe brought us to these channels to begin with and to the YouTube to begin with.
We'll call it the long national nightmare is almost over.
Yeah, like maybe. That. Maybe just talk about the beginnings of it. Like with me, I noticed it in gaming. You probably notice it elsewhere. So yeah, okay. Yeah. All right.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for coming by again. If you're new here tonight, I would super be encouraged if you were to hit that like button and hit the subscribe button and come back again. If you do have a channel that you want to, or you just have something you want to say, reach out to me. Maybe we can get you on the channel. And we can have you as a special guest. But you're all my special guests every time you come here. I tell you every week how much I am encouraged to see you guys here, but I want you to know that I mean that genuinely and sincerely. You guys really are just great to humor me by listening to me, drink and rant for 2.5 hours every Friday night and just hang out. That's what Last Call is, and I super appreciate it. Any last words from you, Boomer?
No, just looking forward. Check out Big House Channel. We're going to all be watching The Swarm tomorrow night.
I'll be there. I don't know what I'm getting into.
It's going to be pretty intense, man.
Look, I enjoyed the last.
You should get some Vito honeys to eat while it's on. I'm kidding. Something honey flavored while you're watching it. Oh, you can have a honey flavored drink. I didn't think about that.
Oh, I'll have to think about that. Okay, sounds good. All right, everyone. Take care. Have a great one. See you next
Night,
time.
y'all.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Good night. Nut.
Good night, ladies. Good night, sir. Hit it, sweetheart.